गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Mike Prabhu. Jai Radha Vrindavan Chandra, Radha Vrindavan Chandra Radhe. Jaya Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham, Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Acharya BBT founder Acharya savior of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishthiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Today we are beginning chapter number 3, third chapter. We have completed first and second chapters. Third chapter is titled as Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So we are starting with the first shloka today. Suta Uvacha Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahat Adibhihi Bhagavan Mahadadibhihi Sambhutam षोडशकलम् आदौ सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोक सिसृक्षया आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया सूत उवाच जगृहे पौरुषं रूपं भगवान् महद् आदिभिः सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया सूत उवाच जगृहे पौरुषं रूपं भगवान् महदादिभिः सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया सूत उवाच जगृहे पौरुषं रूपम् आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया सूत उवाच जगृहे पौरुषं रूपं भगवान् महदादिभिः सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया सूत उवाच जगृहे पौरुषं रूपं भगवान् महदादिभिः सम्भूतं षोडशकलम् आदौ लोकसिसृक्षया. Word to word translation. Sutah uvacha. Suta said, Jagrihe, accepted. Paurusham, plenary portion as the Purusha incarnation. Rupam, form. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Mahat Adibihi, with the ingredients of the material world. Sambhutam, thus there was the creation of. Shodashakalam, 16 primary principles. In the Adau, in the beginning. Loka, the universes. Sisrikshaya, on the intention of creating. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Suta said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded Himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. Translation with repetition. Suta said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord first expanded Himself in the universal form of the Purusha incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. Purport. The Bhagavad Gita states that the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, maintains these material universes by extending his plenary expansions. So this Purusha form is the confirmation of the same principle. The original personality of Godhead Vasudeva or Lord Krishna, who is famous as the son of the king Vasudev or King Nanda, is full with all opulences, all potencies, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Part of his opulences are manifested as impersonal Brahman, and part of his opulences are manifested as Paramatma. This Purusha feature of the same personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the original Paramatma manifestation of the Lord. There are three Purusha features in the material creation, and this form, who is known as the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, is the first of the three. The others are known as the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu and Shirodakashayi Vishnu, which we shall know one after another. The innumerable universes are generated from the skin holes of this Karanodakashayi Vishnu, and in each one of the universes, the Lord enters as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that the material world is created at certain intervals and then again destroyed. This creation and destruction is done by the supreme will because of the conditioned souls or the Nitya Baddha living beings. The Nitya Baddha or the eternally conditioned souls have the sense of individuality or ahankara which dictates them sense enjoyment, which they are unable to have constitutionally. The Lord is the only enjoyer and all others are enjoyed. The living beings are predominated enjoyers, but the eternally conditioned souls, forgetful of this constitutional position, have strong aspirations to enjoy. The chance to enjoy matter is given to the conditioned souls in the material world, and side by side, they are given the chance to understand their real constitutional position. Those fortunate living entities who catch the truth and surrender unto the lotus feet of Vasudeva after many, many births in the material world, join the eternally liberated souls and thus are allowed to enter into the kingdom of Godhead. After this, such fortunate living entities need not come again within the occasional material creation. But those who cannot catch the constitutional truth are again merged into the Mahat-tattva at the time of the annihilation of the material creation. When the creation is again set up, this Mahat-tattva is again let loose. This Mahat-tattva contains all the ingredients of the material manifestations, including the conditioned souls. Primarily, this Mahat-tattva is divided into 16 parts, namely the 5 gross material elements and the 11 working instruments or senses. It is like the cloud in the clear sky. In the spiritual sky, the effulgence of Brahman is spread all around and the whole system is dazzling in spiritual light. The Mahat-tattva is assembled in some corner of the vast, unlimited spiritual sky, and a part which is thus covered by the Mahat-tattva is called the material sky. This part of the spiritual sky, called the Mahat-tattva, is only an insignificant portion of the whole spiritual sky. And within this Mahat-tattva, there are innumerable universes. All these universes are collectively produced by the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, called also the Mahavishnu, who simply throws his glance to impregnate the material sky. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai, Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lankayate gram yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinitarinam yat kripatamaham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwara. Hare Krishna. First of all, I apologize for being late for this session today, for the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are starting the discussion on we are beginning the discussions on the third chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. First canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is titled as Creation, and the entire chapter, canto is discussing various aspects of the creation, right from the beginning of the creation, how the creation actually started, or how the creation actually begins, because creation, when we talk about creation, is the creation of the material world. So, and these material universes, as this shloka also talks about, the material universes are created time and again, or every moment there are different universes getting created by Lord's will. And what is the process of the starting of those universes, how it starts from the very basic elements, how Lord is present in those in that process of creation as the entire background force of the creation, and what different ways he is present in these creations to guide and support the living entities in their existence while they are in these material universes, is being described in this entire canto. And this particular chapter is actually in answer to the questions raised by the sages of Naimisharanya. Sages of Naimisharanya had asked 6 questions altogether to Suta Goswami, and in the pursuance of the knowledge about what exactly is the path forward for all the living entities in Kali Yuga. What are they supposed to take shelter of? Which Shastra are they supposed to refer to get guidance about what exactly is the necessary process for all the living entities to follow, by which they will be happy, satisfied always, and contented at the heart. That is what was the basic question. And the basic intent was this. And in pursuance of this intent, there were 5 other questions which were asked by the sages. And this particular chapter is in answer to the 4th and the 5th questions which are being asked by the sages. And the shlokas, the questions are, the 4th question is, Tasya karmani udarini parigitani suribhi bruhina shraddadhananam leelaya dadata kala. Meaning is, his transcendental acts, the Supreme Lord's transcendental acts, are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. So sages are asking Suta Goswami to describe various incarnations and activities that Lord performs in his various incarnations, about the adventures he performs. Okay? So Leelaya, he performs in his various incarnations. This was the 4th question. And the 5th one was, O Suta, O wise Suta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme excuse me. So the 5th question was, अथाख्याहि हरेर धीमन अवतार कथा शुभा लीला विदधत स्वैरम ईश्वरस्यात्म मायया. O Vaisuta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So they wanted to know what all ways Lord appears in his incarnations, in his multi-incarnations, what pastimes does he perform, and how these all incarnations are manifested, and how Lord performs through his internal leelas. So in pursuance of these two questions, this entire chapter is being spoken by Suta Goswami. And that is why the first line of the shloka is Suta Uvacha. So Suta Goswami now, he's beginning to answer these two questions. In the previous shloka, Suta Goswami has mentioned that thus the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So he has brought the sages of Naimisharanya to this understanding that it is Lord who is behind the creation. He is the one who maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. He assumes the roles of incarnations and he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So, in today's shloka, Suta Goswami is telling, Suta Uvacha, he's talking about in the beginning of the creation, Adau Lokas Sriksha. Adau, that is the beginning of in the beginning, and when he's talking about the beginning, he's talking about the beginning of this material creation or the material universe. There is there is no question of creation or destruction in the case of the Supreme Lord, his energies, and his spiritual world, his place of residence, his abode. There is no question of destruction, there is no question of creation, and hence there is no question of destruction also. It is eternally present. They are Shashvata Loka, they are all. And everything is Shashvata there. There is nothing which deteriorates in that Loka. So so this word Adau, in the beginning, it is referring to the creation of the material universe. It is not referring to the Adau means how Lord came into existence. Or what was it before this material creation? Who was it that was existing? Was it only the Supreme Lord? So if we try to understand the presence of the Lord in relation to our existence, our presence, like our presence has a date of appearance, it has a date of disappearance. We take birth and we die at one point of time. Where if we try to understand about the Lord's presence, then that won't be correct, because his personality, his existence is altogether of a different category. Not like our material existence here. Hence, many a times he is called Nirvikara, Nirakara, and he's Nirguna. So many times such kind of names or addressals are given to the Lord, and people think that Nirvikara or Nirakara means that he does not go through transformations, or he does not have different varieties, he does not have a form, or he does not have any qualities. Whereas the actual understanding is that the Lord, when he is Nirvikara or Nirakara or Nirguna, he does not go through the changes the way we in material world go through. He does not have the kind of qualities, the material qualities that we have in this material world. He does not have the form like ours, the material form in this material world. His form is of different category. It's transcendental. His qualities are all absolute, not like ours, which are relative. His form is the transcendental form, not like ours, which is has lot of limitations. So, and similarly, his abode, the spiritual world, is not like our material abode here. Our material abode goes through so many changes, so many transformations, and eventually destruction. But that is not the case with the Lord's abode. So when here Suta Goswami is talking about Adav, in the beginning, he is talking about this material universe, where he is sitting and speaking about this Srimad Bhagavatam. So Adav is about, in the beginning of the creation, Prabhupada in the translation he brings it, Suta said, in the beginning of the creation, Adav, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form. Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam. Bhagavan, the Lord, he expanded himself, he accepted, expanded or exception. Like in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. Krishna, whenever he appears out of his own will, his own energies. It is not by the force. Like we appear in this world by force. There is certain law which acts behind our coming to this world. There is a law which decides which body we are going to get. Karmana daivane trena jantur deho papattaye. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the living entity gets the body or the yoni based on his past karma. So there is a law behind what body we are going to get. And then for us to take birth within this material world also, there has to be certain biological process that needs to be followed. Only then we appear into this world. So there are a lot of conditions, there is a lot of force by which we appear into this world. We are not free to choose when I want to come, where I want to come, how I want to be, what ways I should look. There is no freedom for us. So we are forced to appear in this world. Whereas the Lord comes out of his own free will. Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. By my own energies I appear, but I appear at my own free will. So that is what is mentioned here, that Lord first expanded himself. He accepted, Jagrihe, accepted or expanded at his own will. Paurusham Rupam. He accepted the universal form of the Purusha incarnation. Paurusham, Purusha incarnation. The Lord, when he, in his original form, he is the supreme Purusha. He is the supreme enjoyer. Whereas when he comes as the Purusha incarnation in this material world, apart from being the enjoyer, he takes up certain other tasks. And those tasks are of actually creating and maintaining actually it is about the maintaining of this universe. So he needs to create all the arrangements, all the facilities for the living entities to be in this world. And hence he starts with the initial elements of the creation. What all elements are required, basic foundational elements of this universe, those elements first he creates, and then he further gives the living entities a chance to come into this world and then use those elements and further go on acting in this material world with different desires. So that opportunity Lord creates. So he first took the Purusha incarnation. He is a Purusha, but when he takes this Purusha incarnation, which is specifically meant for maintaining this world, maintaining this creation, that is the Purusha incarnation. He is taking the responsibility of this creation. And that is why later on also, Lord Krishna or Vishnu, he maintains that he keeps that department of maintenance with him only. Like we know that Brahma is the creator of within the universe, the secondary creator. Vishnu is the maintainer and Shiva is the annihilator, correct? Destroyer. Which means that after creating the elements which are necessary for the creation, Lord has still kept that department with him only about maintenance of the creation. He knows he has given the elements, but he wants to maintain. Like recently we were discussing about some equipments that we want to purchase for our temple. And we were discussing with those people that you give us the equipments, but you should also take charge of the maintenance of that equipment for annual maintenance. So we sign a contract with those companies because it is very difficult to maintain such big equipments, and it is quite complicated. It needs a lot of technical understanding, and those companies who have themselves made that equipment, they will very well know how to maintain it, what is the frequency of the failures that may come into this equipment, what are the preventive maintenance that needs to be done. So they are very well aware. And because they want to maintain the reputation of their own company, they also are interested in taking up that annual maintenance contract. So we award that contract to them, and then they nicely take care of that equipment because they know how they have created, what they have done, what parts they have put, right? Which parts may go wrong when. Everything they are clear of. So Lord Vishnu, Krishna, he is completely aware of what all creation he has done. Whereas the secondary creation which Brahma does, that is also as per his conscious desire, he is thought over. But still, it also has the involvement of desires of the various living entities also. And hence, there are a lot of challenges which may come in the overall maintenance and operation of this material universe. And hence what Lord does is, he keeps this maintenance department, keeping all the systems together, all the materials are being provided for all the living entities, so that entire department of maintenance is kept by him. And that is why when he has manifested all the ingredients of the material creation, he has also taken the form of Purusha incarnation for that purpose. He could have left it to energies or some other jiva to do that. But no, it is a very important responsibility. It needs a lot of careful attention to every minute detail, and that is why he has kept it with himself. And he himself, he himself is also present as the Purusha incarnation in this creation. So, it is Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahat Adibihi, with the ingredients of the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of 16 principles of material action. Sambhutam Shodashakalam. And thus there was the creation, Shambhutam, of the Shodashakalam, 16 elements, 16 primary elements. And Prabhupada describes in the purport what are those 16 primary elements. He says, this Mahatattva contains all the ingredients of the material manifestations, including the conditioned souls. Primarily, this Mahatattva is divided into 16 parts, namely the 5 gross material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 gross elements. And then 11 working instruments or senses. That is 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses, and then the mind. So these are 11 elements which are necessary, and there are 5 gross elements which are necessary. These are the 16 primary elements necessary for this creation. And obviously the spirit soul which is there within this. So these are the 16 primary elements which he creates for the material action. Anything material to happen, these 16 elements are required, minimum. The mind, the senses, and the objects of the senses. Only then are the material elements, only then we will be able to function in this material world. Any action can be performed in this world. And what was this reason for this all was being done? Why he has taken the Purusha incarnation, why he has created the elements? This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. Loka Sisrikshaya, for the purpose of creation, intention of creating the universes. So clearly it is stated here that behind the material creation, there is an intention of the Lord. Hetu, there is a purpose behind the creation. Okay? Whereas modern science says that there is no purpose behind all this creation, it just happens by chance. There is something called as Big Bang happened, and then the developments kept on happening by chance, And then there was a principle of survival of the fittest which came into existence. The life came into existence. Principle of survival of the fittest came into existence. And that is how this material creation has been propagating further. That is how it is developing. But here it is clearly told that Lord, there is the intent of the Lord behind this creation. There is a purpose behind creating these material universes. And that Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he states, what is the purpose behind this creation? Here it is mentioned that yes. He's telling that this entire creation is because of the living entities. Yes. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned that the material world is created at certain intervals and again destroyed. This creation and destruction is done by the supreme will. It happens by will of the Lord because of the conditioned souls or Nitya-Baddha living beings. It is not by the free. It is by the will of the Lord, but it is not by the liking of the Lord. It is not that Lord wants this to happen. But because the conditioned living beings, Nitya-Baddha living entities, they want to fulfill their desires of enjoying independent of the Lord, that is why Lord is pushed to create this material universe, material creation. Otherwise, there is no intention, there is no requirement for the Lord to have this kind of material creation. But it is because of the Nitya-Baddha, conditioned living beings, that this material world is created. Many times people ask, why does the Lord has created such a universe? Why He has put us into this kind of universe? It is not that He has done it out of His own wish and will. It is done because we wanted this particular kind of a universe, and that is why it has been created. Then why can't Lord give one universe to each and every one of us and let us be free? Sab log enjoy karenge. Everyone will enjoy nicely in that own universe. But we don't want to enjoy alone. Okay? The intention is not only to enjoy, but I want to enjoy like the Lord, who is the center of attraction, center of all the enjoyment. And when we say center of all the enjoyment, there have to be people around who are enjoying lesser than me. Because I am the center, I should be enjoying more. Correct? That is the intention. And that with that intention, when Lord, if it was so simple that I want to enjoy alone, Lord would have given us a universe and let us enjoy freely. But that is not the only intention. If I am giving the universe, that other universe person also should enjoy. Along with me, I should enjoy more than him. That is the desire. That is the competition that we have. And that is why we have, because of this competitive atmosphere, there is a law which has to be brought in by the Lord, which is called as law of karma. Whatever kind of karma you perform, you will enjoy based on that. You will enjoy or suffer. And based on that, these universes are present. You will be either born in the universe as one of the main persons of the universe, or you will be born as the primary creature within this universe. So it all depends upon us. Lord has given all the facilities. He has created all the elements. He has made all the systems. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord tells that in the beginning of the creation, He sent forth the men and the devatas, and He also gave the process for them to enjoy. So the discussion about the creation is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also, where Lord says that in the beginning, I have created the beings and the demigods, devatas, and I have given a process by which both of them can live very happily in this world. So if that process is followed, then very happily a living entity can live within this world, and at the end of its life, it can go back to the spiritual world. But the problem is, we don't follow that process. And that process, Lord says, is that of yajna, sacrifice. So if this yajna or sacrifice is followed properly, the process is followed properly, not only we, but the other devatas, other living entities will also be happy, and eventually we will all go back home, back to Godhead. So this process has been given by the Lord Only thing is, it is the living entities who are supposed to utilize it properly. So, Srila Prabhupada brings about many wonderful understandings in this purport. Prabhupada first talks about the main Purusha incarnations, where first Prabhupada says that the Lord is possessor of all these opulences, 6 opulences. And he mentions those 6 opulences, and he says that part of his opulences are manifested as impersonal Brahman, as Paramatma. Correct? And this Purusha feature is of the same personality of Godhead, is the original Paramatma manifestation of the Lord. So, the word here used is the plenary portion of the Lord. The Purusha is the plenary portion as the Purusha incarnation. There are various incarnations of the Lord, various avatars of the Lord, which are described in the Shastras. Lord Chaitanya, in his teachings to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, he describes about these various categories of incarnations. He talks about them, and he talks about this Purusha incarnation also, the plenary expansions. So the plenary portion or the plenary expansion means, Srila Prabhupada translates that plenary portions means expansions of his personality. It is not just of his energy, but of his personality also. So the plenary portion will have all the powers, all the opulences which the original personality has. But only thing is, the plenary portion will have a specific activity to be done. And that too in relation to the material creation. Otherwise, these all plenary portions, plenary expansions and other incarnations, they need not be there in the spiritual world. So the plenary portion is the form of the Lord which is meant for which has the purpose of creating these material universes. So for that reason the Lord appears. And the description given here by Srila Prabhupada is that first is the Karanodakshai Vishnu, from whose pores of the body various universes appear. Like how when we sweat, there are small bubbles of water, droplets of water which are created. Similarly, from the Lord's body, Karanodakshai Vishnu's body, multiple bubbles are getting created. Whenever he breathes out, he exhales. When he is exhaling, that time there are multiple bubbles which are coming out of his body of different sizes. Shape is almost like an egg of every universe, and they go on expanding. And then when such a bubble is created, then Lord enters into each of those bubbles as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Each of these bubbles is half filled with water, and then Lord as Garbhodakashai Vishnu enters into those bubbles, and he lies onto that Garbhodaka ocean, and from his navel comes the lotus stem, and then the lotus on top of it, and that is where Brahma appears of that particular universe. And this Brahma then meditates upon the Lord. He goes through the top to down of that the stem of the lotus in search of where is the start and end of this creation. And then finally he is unable to find anything. Then he meditates, and in that meditation he gets direction from the Lord from within his heart. And then Brahma starts the creation of that various different planets and then different species, and all those things he starts creating, utilizing the elements given by the Lord. And then the Lord enters into all those things as Paramatma. And that Paramatma is none other than the Shirodakashayi Vishnu, who is present within that universe. He has his personal presence within that particular universe on the milk ocean, the Shirodaka ocean. And in that, that personality, he expands as Paramatma into various elements, atoms, and every atom and into every living entity in the heart of that living entity. So thus, the Lord goes from the macro level to the micro level of existence and he is involved in every aspect of maintenance of these living entities into this creation. So, it is maybe the Lord's great mercy that till yesterday, last 3-4 days, I happened to be in Jagannath Puri, and the Lord, Jagannatha, the name itself tells that Jagannatha, he is the Lord of this universe, and he is the one who maintains this universe. So there we were able to see some wonderful leelas of the Lord, how he is taking care of unlimited living entities which keep coming there to Jagannath Puri temple and for honoring Prasadam. And we happened to discuss with one Panda yesterday about the food that is being cooked and distributed. We were asking them, how much food you cook? He says, we don't know. Some food keeps happening, keep getting cooked every day. There is certain minimum amount which we cook, but then why some days more cooking happens, why some days only the stipulated quantity of cooking happens. There is no control as such, and whatever number of people are going to come, everybody gets fed. So that is a wonderful feature of the Lord as the maintainer of the universe, which we could really experience in the last 3-4 days. And such wonderful leelas of the Lord there in Jagannath Puri and his associates, and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes there. So it was very evident of the nature of the Lord as the maintainer of all the living entities who come to him or who are under his shelter, whether they believe in him or not. Many people there in Odisha, in Puri, they believe in Lord Jagannath, but not necessarily as Krishna, not in his original understanding of what exactly Lord Jagannath is, but they know that he is the maintainer, he is our maintainer, he is our caretaker, and they are fully dependent upon him. So whether the living entity is ignorantly dependent upon the Lord, whether the living entity is willfully dependent upon the Lord, or whether the living entity is completely averse to the Lord, but still, because the living entity is always dependent upon the Lord always takes care of every living entity. He never sidelines anybody. Like these ingredients of creation which Lord has manifested since the beginning of this creation are utilized by everyone. The atheists use them, agnostics use them, and the devotees also use them. Everybody. And Lord gives equal opportunity to everyone. Even if devotees want to use the material energy, material elements, Lord allows them, like how we are utilizing for building this temple. Okay? But just because we are building this temple, it is not that Lord has given us free hand. Oh, whatever elements, wherever you want to pick up, no problem. No, we have to struggle. We have to collect sufficient funds for it. Then we have to use the intelligence, where to get what materials from, which selection, how it should look, what materials, and then we have to negotiate the prices. All the material laws have to be followed, even by devotees. So it is just not freely given. Lord will give the intelligence to do all that. As devotees, he will give special intelligence, he will give special empowerment to do all that. But still the laws have to be followed. Just because you are my devotees, it is not that you will get free hand at everything. And just because somebody is an atheist, not that he will be denied of the basic necessities. No, he will still be given basic necessities also. So all the elements can be utilized by an atheist, by a demon, by a devotee. Everybody is given an opportunity to use. But then what happens when we use them for our benefit? A demon uses the material elements for his own enjoyment, demoniacally. Atheist he also uses the elements for his own enjoyment, but unaware of the Lord's existence. An agnostic, he is confused whether Lord exists or not, Lord still keeps providing. And for devotees also, Lord happily keeps providing. So Lord as the maintainer, as Jagannatha, he keeps supplying everybody whatever is necessary. But when the living entity gets those necessities, how he utilizes those elements is what causes the karma for the living entity. As devotees, if we use all those elements for the service of the Lord, we will be free from the karma. But as demons or atheists, if we use it only for our satisfaction, then we will be implicated by karma. So that is what happens to the living entities. And the living entity, it tries to enjoy unrestrictedly. Here it is mentioned that the conditioned souls, they have the sense of individuality, which dictates them the sense enjoyment, which they are unable to have constitutionally. The living beings are predominated enjoyers, but the eternally conditioned souls, forgetful of these constitutional positions, have strong aspirations to enjoy. The chance to enjoy matter is given to the conditioned souls in the material world. Side by side, they are given chance to understand their real constitutional position. So the enjoyment is not denied, even as devotees, but along with that enjoyment, there is a chance also given to understand our real constitutional position. So while we are enjoying in Krishna consciousness, we should not forget the element of understanding about ourselves and reviving our own consciousness. We should not just get used to the easy-going life which Krishna consciousness gives in this material world. It's a very, very easy-going life which we get as devotees. Very, very simple life. No tension of anything. How much cost is going up, how much cost is coming down, what shares are rising, what is falling, nothing, no botheration. But so that facility has been given by the Lord, but it should not be misutilized. Not that just, okay, I should join the movement because I don't want to be bothered by all these things in the material world. That should not be the intention of joining this movement or being part of the movement. The idea should be whatever anxieties, whatever struggle I am taking outside in the material world, just for the sake of my own maintenance, I should take all that trouble, all that struggle, all that austerity, tapasya, I should do for the service of the Lord. That is what is going to purify me. Not that as devotees we should think that we should be, I don't want this struggle outside, that is why I should take to devotion. No, that is not the intention. Struggle should be taken, but for Lord's service. Once Prabhupada in United States, he was planning, there was a discussion going on with devotees about purchasing a church building to be converted to a temple. And the amount was a huge amount. It was some thousands of dollars, which were required to purchase that building. And hence, those devotees approached Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this is what is the amount, and we have this much amount with us, and the rest of the amount we will have to raise. And temporarily can BBT give us the loan, and then we will keep repaying that loan to BBT. So then Prabhupada initially he said that no, it's too much anxiety. So Prabhupada discouraged the devotee from taking that building. Prabhupada said it's too much anxiety. Then that devotee thought, okay, Prabhupada, okay, it's too much anxiety. So then that devotee thought, okay, now let me not think about it. The next moment Prabhupada says, no, but we should take that anxiety for Krishna. So although it is too much anxiety, but we should take that anxiety for Krishna. And eventually they went ahead, they took that loan from BBT and they purchased that church, and that was converted to a temple. So all that has happened. So Prabhupada always encouraged devotees to take anxiety for Krishna, to struggle for Krishna. How Prabhupada started the first Rath Yatra in the United States. Right? It was a big struggle for devotees to get permissions from building the cart, from conceptualizing the festival, building the Ratha carts, building the Ratha, and then taking permissions, conducting it. It was all together everything new. Everybody was in anxiety. What is going to happen? How it is going to happen? So that anxiety Lord wants us to take. Srila Prabhupada wants us to take. So that instead of using all our energies, all our skills, talents, intelligence, just for the sake of enjoying ourselves, we will use all those things in the service of the Lord, and we will purify all those things. So that is the intention that with which the devotees should take up to devotional service. That I'm not, although yes, there is frustration with the material world that we all have, with the with all the negatives of the material world, But then we should not run away from all those things. We should understand that these all things are part of the material existence. So we have to utilize, or you have to engage all those things in Lord's service somehow or other. So with that intention, a devotee should take to devotional service always. He should not run away from the material material problems just because he's frustrated with them. But he should understand that all these frustrations, anyways, I have to take in this material world by my karma. Why should I not utilize them in service of the Lord? Anyways, I have to take them. Anyways, I have to go through that struggle, those challenges which are going to come. Let me engage all that in Lord's service. With this intention, when the devotee engages within the material world in devotional service, he gets purified and he can go back to home, back to Godhead. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is bringing in one more important aspect, that those who cannot catch the constitutional truth are again merged into the Mahat Tattva at the time of annihilation of the material creation. So when suppose we try to get into the devotional service, somehow we are not able to complete it. And there is the time has come to the end of this material creation. It gets wound up. So all the jivas in that material creation also will go into hibernation. And again, when the creation happens, they will again be impregnated into the another material creation, and they will start their life from that point onwards. Just like after 3 days today, I came back and opened my tablet. And I opened the Google for searching something. So it opened immediately all the tabs that I had earlier selected. There were so many tabs which are open. On one click, everything else, all those tabs got revived. So it has kept in the memory somewhere. The Google has kept in the memory that these were the tabs which were last opened. They were all present during your last working on the Google. And now since many days it was not opened, now when I have opened, it asks, should we reopen all those tabs? And yes, it reopens. Everything is reopened. Right from that point where you were on that page, which line you were, it exactly points to that portion and brings it out. So similarly, the Mahat Tattva, in the Mahat Tattva also, all the living entities, to whatever extent they have progressed in their journey in the 84 lakh species and while executing their different karmas, all that is kept in the memory, the Supreme Lord's memory. And when the creation, the end of creation happens of one material universe, when the next material universe comes about where every living entity has the suitable situation for fulfilling their karma, again those living entities are brought into existence and they will start performing their activities from there onwards. So like this, Lord takes care of the living entity perpetually till the time the living entity returns back to the spiritual world. The Lord is continuously assisting the living entity, helping the living entity, guiding the living entity to come back to Him, back to Godhead. So that is the amount of involvement that the Lord has in our lives, and He is very merciful that He is there with us for all these, through all the thick and thin of this material existence. And in coming shlokas, we will come to know how, while in this material world, not only He provides us with the ingredients for the existence, but every now and then He keeps appearing in His different forms, in His different incarnations, and He keeps attracting our attention towards Himself. He keeps telling us how great He is, how loving He is, how caring He is, and what would be the life in association with Him. He keeps giving us that the glimpses of that life, so that we will get attracted to it and we will keep coming. We will have desire. We will develop that desire to come back to Him, and that is what all these other incarnations, which are going to be described in this chapter, that is the purpose of all those incarnations, the various Leela avatars, and by continuously contemplating on the various leelas of the Lord. Like today morning when we were returning back, as soon as we touched down Delhi airport, we were talking, Rajeshwar Prabhu was with me. So we were talking how wonderful it was last 3 days in Jagannath Puri, continuously contemplating on the Supreme Lord. We had gone there for some purpose of building some ratha, and we were talking to some devotees. So continuously our 24 hours our absorption was about ratha, Jagannath, his various pastimes, activities, ancient history of Jagannath Puri. Only that was the thought, only that was the thinking, and we were continuously discussing with various pandas and other people who are there in the Jagannath Puri temple, that entire organization. We were discussing so many things with them. So it was all full of Jagannath. And as soon as we touched down Delhi, we were able to see it was totally different. Even till Bhubaneswar it was okay, because everywhere it was Jagannath, Jagannath, Jagannath's pictures. But Delhi touchdown, it was altogether different. There is no Jagannath. Vrindavan is far away. So it's altogether different experience there. So like this, if we continuously keep contemplating on one or the other incarnation of the Lord, his leelas, his pastimes, his holy name, we will always be in his consciousness, in Krishna consciousness, and that ways we will be able to stay aloof or stay untouched by all the inabilities of this material world, and we will be very happily, we will be able to live in this world. We will be very happily able to practice our Krishna consciousness, and at the end of this life, we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead, by the mercy of our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada and Supreme Lord Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya. So these were some thoughts on this particular purport. If anybody has anything to add or any questions, we can take for a minute. Yeah, please. Yes. We'll take just 2 questions because already we are late. It's 9:17. Yeah.
Soul is pure and it is a part of God. Similarly, material energy is also a part of God. Then how the soul is indestructible and material energy get destructed? And the soul is pure, the material energy is also part of God, and he must be pure. Then how when soul come with the material energy, gets impure?
He gets impure. First is soul is pure and part of the Lord, so soul is indestructible. Correct? And why material energy is destructible? Correct? That was the first question. Soul is destructible, soul is indestructible, but material energy, which is also part of the Lord, why is it destructible? So this destructible, indestructible is for our vision. Material energy also is not destructible as such. Even modern science says no, energy cannot be destroyed. Correct? It can just change from one form to another. It cannot be destroyed as such. It still exists always. Same is the case with us also. This material creation, at one point of time, if it is not present, if it annihilates, it does not mean that that energy itself is gone. The energy is still there, but it is there in the Mahat Pradhana. There is one more element before Mahat Tattva, which is called as Pradhana. In that Pradhana form, it will be. Like nowadays, you have seen those small kids, their parents purchase them clay to make different objects. Clay milta hai bachcho ko khelne ke liye. So that clay is in different colors and shapes, and then the child will utilize clay from different portions and make something else. So similarly, when the creation is not existing in the form that we see, it will be existing in some other form as the energy of the Lord. And whenever there is an opportunity for the living entities, appropriate opportunity for the living entities to execute their karma further, Lord will again manifest that energy into different varieties. So that is what keeps happening. So material energy is not destructible in the sense of complete destruction, but it only changes its form. And it can go back to its original fundamental form, and it can again manifest into different varieties based on the living entity's desires. Lord tells in Bhagavad Gita that there are eight elements here, correct? These are 5 gross elements and then mind, intelligence and ego. These are subtle elements. And then Lord says that these are bhinna prakriti rashtadha. These are bhinna, my separated energies. And there is a superior energy to them. Apareyam itastanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. This jiva can manipulate. Dharyate jagat means it can manipulate these material elements. And then he can construct some things based on his desire. He can deconstruct it and all those things. But the energy is present. It never is destroyed as such. And because, why it cannot be destroyed also is because it is the energy of the Lord. Because Lord is indestructible, the energy also can't be destroyed. So science has reached up to one level. They are saying that material energy cannot be destroyed. It can just change from one form to another. But they have not understood why. It is because that is the energy of the Supreme Lord who himself is indestructible. And he is absolute. He is the possessor of all those energies. So that point they have not reached yet. And don't know whether with the kind of intentions they have, they will be able to reach that point also. And when we come to the soul being pure, and when it comes in touch with the material energy, it becomes impure. It is not just because it comes in touch with the material energy that it becomes impure. Just like we are also utilizing material energy here for constructing the temple, for preaching, this mic, it's a material energy. But just because we are using the mic, it is not that we are getting affected by its materialness. But because we are utilizing this mic in the service of the Lord, it gains its true form, the true nature as the energy of the Lord. Otherwise it is identified as the material energy, bhinna prakriti rashtadha, separated energy. But as soon as it is engaged in the service of the Lord, it regains its original nature, the pure nature. And that is why, for the same reason it is said that the entire material creation is made by the Lord to help the living entity to go back home, back to Godhead. So by being in touch with the material energy per se, the living entity does not get impure. It is the desire with which he gets in touch with the material energy is what creates impurities in the jiva. It is a desire to enjoy, the sense enjoyment, which is an unconstitutional desire. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, no? The Nitya Baddha or eternally conditioned souls have the sense of individuality, ahankara, which dictates them sense enjoyment, which they are unable to have constitutionally. The living entities are predominated enjoyers, but the eternally conditioned souls, forgetful of these constitutional positions, have strong aspirations to enjoy. So that desire to enjoy independent as an individual, I want to enjoy. That kind of intention is what creates impurities in the jiva. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. Correct? Sarge yanti parantapa. The living entity comes to this material world and with ichha, dvesha, because of all these things, it gets caught into the dvandva, the moha, it gets illusioned. And then it starts utilizing everything for its own enjoyment, and that is where the impurities come in. So that is why the impurity is not in the material energy itself, per se. The impurity is in our desires. So when we set right our desires, our consciousness, then there is no impurity. There is no danger from the material energy. That is why Srila Prabhupada very consciously he named this organization International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have to just change our consciousness and the entire material energy will help us, support us to progress in Krishna consciousness, progress in devotion. So it is not the material energy which is wrong, it is the intention of the jiva which is wrong. Like many times we hear this argument from the women segment of the society, women's. They say that we want to dress the way we like. So you should have proper intentions when you see at us. Isn't it that kind of argument you would have heard. It is my freedom how I want to dress, how I want to be. Why are you not able to control your intentions, your desires? Just because I have dressed in a certain way, does that mean that you should view me in a particular way? No. It is not necessary that I am dressed for the reason to entice you or anything. I am dressed because I feel good to be dressed like this. Now when you see at me because I am dressed in a certain way, if you are getting triggered by your feelings and your desires, why should that bother me? You should be controlling yourselves. Isn't it? So, when a person looks at another person, it is not necessary that the same, the same kind of desire with which we are looking at another person, the other person also will look with the same desire. We are looking towards the person with certain perception, certain thought, certain desire. That person is not at all aware of those desires or the perceptions that we have. Many times in you younger boys, you will know that you would have heard these stories. Some young boy approaches some girl and he says something to her. He expresses the feelings at his heart. And the girl says, I never have seen you like that. I have always seen you as a good friend, as a brother or something. And in the whole world for that boy crashes down. Isn't it? Because you had the perception. That person did not have that perception. It was your perception or your desire with that jiva that was creating a problem. You were thinking, okay, this might be the case. So this is not the problem with the material energy per se. It is what kind of desires we have, what kind of perception we have about the material energy. That is what creates impurities in us. Otherwise, there is nothing impure in this world. The entire energy of the Lord, because it is the energy of the Lord, it is pure at its best. It is only our intentions, our desires which brings in those impurities, our ahankara. So that is what we need to correct. Yes, you had a question. We'll take this last question and then we'll stop. Yeah. Yes.
Just like in this material world, we have a form which is which is made up of 5 gross elements, and which covers up the source, and which is the source of our asat, asit, and niranda. Does in the spiritual world there exists a body which is made up of spiritual matter, and which is the cause of the Sat, Chit, and Anand?
Yes, absolutely. There is a form which exists in the spiritual world, and that is Satchidananda form. There is a form. That is why we have this material form also.
Our form is made up of 5 gross elements, so there exists just a matter. So
there are 3 elements, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Those 3 elements. Those 3 elements constitute the form of the jiva in the spiritual world. So he is completely aware of everything that is happening around him with the Lord, in connection with the Lord. He is enjoying in connection with the Lord. And he is eternally existing with the Lord. So these are the 3 factors. And the jiva is anyways there. So all the limitations of this material body, which is formed based on the Satchidananda body, are all set aside, and we have all the unlimited features of the Satchidananda body with us. We will be able to unlock all those features. Nowadays we say, no, you upgrade to this and you will be able to unlock these features. So you upgrade yourselves to devotee, you will be able to unlock all the features of your spiritual body once you go back home, back to Godhead. Right now all those features are there. Correct? That consciousness, that devotion, that Sat, Chit, Ananda, everything is there inside. But we have not upgraded up to that level. Once we upgrade ourselves as devotees and we become pure in our consciousness, when we go back to home, back to Godhead, that level, the next level, there we will be able to unlock all the features of the Satchidananda. The true Satchidananda features will come out there. And here, because that Satchidananda is covered due to our ahankara and the other 7 elements, the 8 elements, Because it is covered by all that, we are not able to see the Satchidananda features in us. But it is there within. And since it is there within, and we have experience of that, that is why we are also searching for all those things in this material world. We are searching for eternal life. We are searching for permanent jobs. We are searching for permanent house. We are searching for partners for whole life. So all these things are because we have that idea that there is something which is permanent. There can be a possibility of permanency is there. There is a possibility of having knowledge about everything. That is why there is a continuous search for knowledge. There is an understanding deep within that I am meant for enjoying. And that is why continuously there is a search for enjoyment and getting free from the distress, freedom from distress. That experience is there. That is why the soul is seeking that kind of experience again within this material world. But because of the inherent nature of this material world, those attempts are frustrated. And by this frustration, one day the living entity will realize that this is not my place to be. This is very unconstitutional for me. And hence, when it realizes that, it will develop the desire to go to such a place where all its constitutional rights, its constitutional possessions will all be unlocked. It will be able to utilize them. And that is the spiritual world where we can go by practicing Krishna consciousness, by remembering the Supreme Lord, by remembering all such wonderful leelas of the Lord, right from the creation up to its maintenance, destruction. And during this existence of the material, during our existence in this material world, what all ways Lord comes into our life, performs various pastimes, and how he attracts us to the material world is what we are supposed to continuously contemplate upon. And by that we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So we'll stop here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.